Hi, this is Julia Widup with Publishers Speak, and today we have Dorothy Mercer, who is a woman who wears many hats, and we'd like to hear about those, Dorothy.
Hello there, Julia. How are you today?
Good.
Good. Well, I have some books that I think are really contemporary now with some of the problems that are going on with the border that we have with Mexico, and so many of our policemen and first responders are involved in all of that business, and also with the drug problems and the problems with the Cartel Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So I started out to create myself a wonderful hero who happens to be a policeman. He's Detective Lieutenant Michael J. McBride, Jr., and goes by the name of Mike.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the police department in not a small town, but a small city near the border with Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And so he gets involved in all kinds of scrapes. Oh, gosh. You can't believe it. He gets involved with so many things that I ended up having to write 5 books, and in my mind I've already got the 6th book kind of figured out.
That's great.
The first book is, yeah. You want to see a picture of him?
Yeah.
Okay. I just happen to have a stack of books right here beside the camera. Let's see. Can you see this one? Oh, my hand's in the way.
Car 006 responding.
Right. Well,
Great.
Mike and his pal Leroy is his partner. They always seem to get stuck with the old beat up car in the carpool whenever they want to go off. They just can't seem to get one of these brand new buggies. So they get in car 006. And the name of that is kind of interesting because I kind of wanted to go with James Bond kind of thing.
Right.
So I went online to see if there, I Googled to see if there were any other people that were using 001, 002, 003. I went all the way up to 100 until we got into all the racing cars, and I found the only number that somebody else hasn't already taken is 006. So that's how we...
Okay.
You can see I did a lot of research.
Yes.
And they get in all kinds of scrapes. I try to make my books really exciting, and I like to put a little mystery in it and some romance. And so it happens that Mike comes from a nice family, and his dad is a fireman, and so Mike and his dad are always getting involved together, and some explosions and fires of apartment houses burning down, and it opens up with Mike rescuing this young girl and a baby out of an apartment fire, so he's a big hero. And then he meets this girl called Juliet. I love that name. Doesn't that remind you of something? Romeo and Juliet. But she goes by Julie, and of course she's a redhead and very successful. I mean, we can't have a woman in a book these days unless she's successful, right?
Right.
So she has a career, and she's sophisticated, and she's from the big city of San Francisco, and so Mike meets her, but he figures there's no hope for him because he wants a small town girl just like his mom.
Good for him.
And he's
Good for him.
Because his mom specializes in making cookies and crocheting and knitting and cooking wonderful meals and keeping his dad happy. Well, anyway, you know what happens. Mike falls in love with Julie.
Of course.
And he can't help himself. She's just so beautiful. And in the meantime, Julie has a boyfriend, and his his address is San Francisco, but Mike goes online to try to investigate this boyfriend, and he can't find him. He doesn't have any records, so this boyfriend is very mysterious. And Julie gets afraid, and she runs home to Mama, and Mike gets involved, and it turns out this boyfriend is actually a drug dealer. He's head of the West Coast Cartel.
Oh.
And so Julie gets involved with a stalker. And all kinds of things happen. And, then comes book 2. I ran out of time on book 1, and so then book 2. Can you see this one? Oops, gotta get it centered.
Okay,
just
yeah.
Like backing a car.
Who modeled for the picture of your hero?
Isn't he something?
Yeah.
He's a handsome guy. Yeah. This is called The Cocaine Chase. And as you can imagine, some people get involved with this drug dealer and a beautiful young girl who about 16 gets in trouble and goes into a coma from being overdosed. And have you ever heard of drug subs?
Drug subs?
There's drug subs.
Oh, submarines? Yeah. Yes, I just heard about those.
Yeah, well, this big drug lord in San Francisco, he's importing his cocaine through these drug subs. And a bunch more handsome sailors and some in the Navy and some of the Coast Guard take off chasing these drug subs all the way down to Central America and Colombia and so on. And although it's called the cocaine chase, it's really 2 chases, because later on in the book, Mike gets involved in a car chase that is running down a cocaine dealer too.
Okay.
And we have murders and we have kidnappings, and we have this wonderful police dog named Lady who gets involved in chasing down the kidnappers. Mm-hmm. And then the third book, called The Immigrant and the Golden Coin. Get my finger. Oh, here's my finger. There's a picture of the coin. As you can see, there are pyramids there.
Right.
And this golden coin was coined
Oh, shoot, I'm sorry.
your telephone. Coined 1 billion years ago by and was founded in Mayan ruin in South America, and this wonderful family that lives up in the mountain in these remote hills decides to send their son up to Arizona to make money for the family and send it back home. Well, our immigrant, the poor guy, he starts on this trek all the way from the mountains of South America up through Mexico. And I don't know if you've heard about it, but a lot of them hop the freight trains and they go on these freight trains up through Mexico. Well, the cartels, of which there are about a dozen in Mexico, and even the police, they'll raid these trains and rob these poor immigrants who haven't got anything of their money. They'll kidnap them and hold them for ransom by the families. They'll take the women and rape them. Oh, it's just terrible. So our immigrant, he finally gets all the way up to Juarez, which is across from El Paso, Texas. And this is the murder capital of the world. There are over 3,400 murders every year in Juarez. And there are Mexican cartels that run the place, and our poor immigrant gets in a lot of trouble. It's really bad. And Mike, who's on the job, happens to be bordering the patrol that year. And have you heard of this is a real scandal in Washington called Fast and Furious?
Fast.
A gun running scandal.
No.
Oh, well, if you watch the news, you'll find that there's investigations going on in Congress because there has been a scandal of running guns from the United States into Mexico, and there's actually been a Border Patrol agent killed by one of these guns. The Border Patrol agent happens to be from Michigan, which is my state, and I'm kind of a news junkie, so I created my books around a lot of the things that are going on now. It's fiction and it's fictitious, but I still use a lot of the current events.
Okay.
And so Mike gets involved in investigating this gun running scandal too. And I have a surprise ending to that book as well. The third book is the Cartel Wars. And let's see if I can lift it up in this way. It's like backing a car down the driveway or doing something in the mirror. There.
Yeah. Okay. And who's the model?
And here again, I don't know if you've heard of it, but the Mexico has been almost taken over by these drug cartels.
Yeah.
And the cartels war between each other to try to take over the space and the drug trade and all. But a lot of innocent people get killed in the bargain. And so it's not something you want to fool around with. And a lot of sheriffs and police people in Mexico, if they try to be honest, the cartels will kidnap their families and hold them, or they'll kill them outright. And so the life expectancy of a sheriff or a chief of police in Mexico is just a matter of days or weeks. Well, in my book, the Cartel Wars spill over into the United States. And so it has already in reality, but it gets even worse. And Mike, although he's just a little small town guy, somehow he manages to figure out a way to win against these cartels. And that books end with a surprise ending. It's really great. And the last but not least of the series so far is The Gang Bust.
Okay.
You see down there in the corner, the policeman's arresting this guy. And in this one, Mike figures out a way to bust up all the gangs. There are thousands, like 13,000 gangs in the United States. And some of them are pretty big. And in his territory out in the western United States, Mike is involved in trying to track down who's in charge of these gangs and how can they be rounded up. And he comes up with a great plan, and they actually go up on a ski resort in Nevada and catch them all by surprise. And
they all just happen to be up there.
Oh, they were up there having a big conference. You know how the mafia used to get in their big limos and they'd all go up on some mountain and have a conference? Well, now it's the cartels that do it. So he catches them at it. He actually infiltrates the cartel. And in the end, he gets elected as a senator, and he goes to Washington, and he fixes the whole mess, the whole problem of the drugs and the cartels and the illegal immigrants and what we're going to do about them. And he comes up with this fantastic solution to all our problems. And so the series has a terrific ending. It really does.
Wonderful. Boy, we'll have to.
Yes. So those are my books. That's my series. I have another book that we haven't talked about. Maybe some other time. I have a love story too, totally different one. And you do have to kind of wait to the last book in the series to find out if Mike and Julie ever get married.
Oh, okay. So there's a love story there too.
Oh, there's more than one. I have a wedding in every book, but it's never Mike's.
Never Mike and Julie. Okay.
So what else would you like to know?
Well, I'd like to know a little bit about your publishing company, too.
Okay, well, my publishing company is called Mercer Publications and Ministries Incorporated. And I formed this company in 1993. So it's 19 years since I founded the company. Originally, I published a lot of music of my own compositions and also some other folks here in Michigan. Friends of mine or people that just heard about me, published a lot of sacred music as I was working with churches at that time and working with their choirs and their music. I was also teaching music. I don't know if you can see, but I'm sitting here by my piano, and I taught music and guitar for 20, 30 years, and so I always would write for those instruments. But now that I retired, I kind of gave up teaching and directing and composing and started writing. Mm-hmm. And I'm wearing my T-shirt today, which is my Winner's Circle T-shirt.
Oh, nice. Great.
It says Winner's Circle. And I received that T-shirt from being a finalist or part of the Winner's Circle of the National Novel Writing Month. Every year in November.
Yes.
Okay. And the challenge is to write a novel of at least 50,000 words in 1 month's time. 1 month.
Yes. And why did they pick November?
You upload your novel to their website, and they keep track of how many words you've written. And if you get to 50,000 or more, they give you some prizes. They publish your book for you, and they give you one of these T-shirts and some stickers and cute things like that. And and also you can. Most of the towns and cities and libraries have little groups, and you have a group of other people that are trying to do the same thing, and you encourage each other. And sometimes people get together once a week, once a month, and sit around and write and help each other and edit each other's books.
Right.
So it's a fun thing to do. And I got started with that thinking, could I do that? I mean, what do you think? Could I do that? It sounds like a lot, doesn't it? So I got started. And by Jiminy, that is when I wrote my first fiction novel.
So you did.
In fact, it ran to 70,000 words, really. Because, boy, I mean, you're typing all the time, you know?
Yeah.
So then you get the thing done, and then it takes a lot longer to edit it and set it up and fix all the mistakes. But you've got the thing on paper, and so you're considered one of the finalists, and you're part of the Winner's Circle. And that's how I got started. And it was so much fun that I finished that in time for Christmas, and then I started in January on the series that I told you about, the McBride series. And I finished that in all those books in the McBride series in 1 year.
Wonderful.
And I published.
That's so inspiring.
Yeah. And I published them myself. Nowadays, it's so easy to publish your own books that even a lot of the famous writers are publishing their own books, and some people are doing that. Yeah. One of the people I met through your show, he said he published his book himself first, and then a New York publisher picked it up, and he's got about half of his books are self-published and half another publisher has picked them up. But if you go through a bigger publisher, it takes a lot longer, and you don't have the control that you have when you do it yourself.
Right.
So now there are questions about that?
Time is almost up, so I guess I just want to ask, where could people pick up your book? I'm so glad you asked that, Julia. My books are available on Amazon.com. Just go in there and
do a search for any of the names you can remember. The easiest search is if you type Dorothy May, like M-A-Y, like the month of May. It'll pop up Dorothy May Mercer, and you click on that, because I'm the only Dorothy May out of like 10,000 books they've got on their website. I'm the only Dorothy May.
Okay, good.
And then all my books will pop up, and you can read excerpts there. You can read reviews. If you can remember the name of my website, www.mercerpublications.com.
Okay.
You can also go there, and there'll be links that you can purchase my books straight from the printer through that website. But either way is fine. And also, if you happen to live in Michigan, I have my books in some of the stores here, and also in a lot of the libraries. And I have them in a few in Arizona. And we're going to be in Arizona for 2 or 3 weeks on a book tour. So you'll be finding more of them. I think that the border states are really a good niche for me for my McBride books, although they're great. Everybody that reads them loves them. They're entertaining. They're fun. There's a mystery. Just enough romance to satisfy we girls.
All right. Well, thanks for being with us today, Dorothy.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
All right. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.